Hey everyone, Oisty T here from Good Evening AOs here, and I'm here to talk to you about the preliminary patch 5.0 notes for Final Fantasy XIV Shadowbringers. Now, obviously these are preliminary notes and they are subject to change. However, preliminary notes for Stormblood were very close to the actual full notes, so it's very unlikely anything has changed in them. There may be a couple of little bits and pieces here and there, but it won't be anything earth-shattering. So the patch notes start off talking about the fact that we're going to Norvran, which we know we're going to become the Warrior of Darkness quite possibly. Says about Gunbreaker Dancer, Wrothgar Viera, and the Trust systems. So some new features are going to be coming in 5.1. 5.01, 5.05 and 5.1. So Eden's Gate, which is the normal mode of the 8-man raids, that's coming in 5.01. That will come out on July the 16th. The Treasure Hunt instance, the Dungeons of Lygia, and an Eden Gate Savage are due to be released in 5.05, which is July 30th. And then the restoration of the Holy See of Ishgard and New Game Plus are planned for 5.1 or later. So 5.1 is probably going to be around about September, October time. So first thing that they do advise, read over the early access details. Make sure that you have got early access already enabled if you have pre-ordered the game. I'm sure everyone will want to be getting onto the Shadowbringers as soon as possible. So lots of different content that's going to be coming through. So we've got some pictures of the new cities, the Crystarium. So lots of people have already seen these. Just they have been in live letters, in interviews, in the media tour information. Some pictures from Yulmore, so you have seen this also in the trailers, both the release trailer as well as the launch trailer. New field areas, so you've got Lakeland, a couple of pictures of Lakeland there, Calicia, which is the place that we always forget, but it is where Yulmore stands. Amareng, which looks very like Uldar, and you've got that giant wall of light, which is kind of like where the edge of Northrend ends and the actual flood of light was stopped, and quite probably be by Minfilia when she was in her Word of the Mother form, and that is shown in sort of like the launch trailer. You do kind of see a painting of her using her powers to stop this flood of light engulfing the rest of Northrend. So in my opinion, that's kind of sort of like faded into legend, but we will be able to see where that happened by going to Amareng. You've then got Ilmeg, home of the fairies, or pixies, and then the Raktika Greatwood as well. Now, they don't show a sixth area. Now, I can't remember from the Stormblood notes whether or not they showed you the sixth area, but we do know there's going to be 6 areas. There's always 6 areas, so there will be a new area. I think it'll be something along the lines of where the Sin Eaters are based, or sort of like something along those lines. Maybe an in-between shard area, but I'm sure it's something massive and amazing that the devs will have planned for those last levels or so. New city and field aetherytes, obviously, so make sure that you're always attuned to aetherytes. Patch 5.0 introduces myriad quests, so lots of different quests are coming, mainly the MSQ ones, so make sure, especially on the official forums, loads on social media, in videos, they have asked for main scenario spoilers not to be posted. I know on Good Evening Eosia we are going to have a month where we don't talk about spoilers. If that's something where we need to extend that, we will do, but as a minimum, we're not going to talk about for the entire length of July when it comes to spoiling plot points. So new scenario quests have been added, so that is the Word of the Mother form of Minfilia, who we have seen in the trailers. That is the Crystal Exarch, so people still are wondering whether that's Tiergar or Gartier. I can't remember what his name is, but I don't think it is. I think it's going to be a completely brand new character. That's Fio Ul, who was shown off in the launch trailer as well as in the live letter. So she does play a very important part in the actual story quest itself. I think she's going to be very much akin to Soroban from Stormblood, where you kind of meet him on your way to Kagane, and then throughout the Ruby Sea and the Kojin quest lines, he's kind of sort of like a guide through there. And then you've got Urianger in his Astro get-up, and Ishtola in what we originally thought was her Black Mage get-up, but it's actually a witch. She is actually a witch in 5.0, so very similar to the Black Mage, but just called something slightly different. So side story are coming in as well. So side story quests in patch 5.0 will now employ an automatic level adjustment system known as quest sync. So quests using this system will have their difficulty and XP rewards adjusted to match your current level. Certain side story quests do not use quest sync, so I'm sure there will be an icon to show whether or not they do sync. It's going to be something that you are going to be able to use in order to help level your alt, so it is going to be something that is going to be useful throughout. However, it's kind of going to be akin to the beast tribe system, so it's going to be one of those where depending on what level you are, the XP will be different, the level of the quest will be different. So it's very much akin to the beast tribe quests from Stormblood and Heavensward. So if you've done any of those, you'll kind of have an idea about how this is going to work. Role quests have been added, so we aren't getting job quests per se, so we will get one job quest at level 80 back on the first, back on the source even, we're going to the first. So back on the source we will get one job quest at level 80, that will give us our AF gear, and that's going to be the only job quest that we have. However, you will still have role quests, and each Disciple of War and Magic will be able to progress through one of these 4 series of quests, and the required levels obviously vary throughout. You have to have completed one series of role quests in order to complete the main scenario of Shadowbringers. So you will have to have completed either the tank, the physical DPS, the cast DPS, or the healer role quests in order to complete Shadowbringers. So as you can see, this one looks to be the Paladin. So that looks like the tank one. That's definitely the healer one, and they don't show off the other one. So you've got the man with too many scars, any tank level 70, so Paladin, Warrior, Dark Knight, Gunbreaker, any physical DPS level 70, no greater sport. They all are in the Crystarium. Hollow Pursuits, Black Mage, Summoner, Red Mage, any magical DPS level 70, and then Traditions and Travails, any healer level 70, White Mage, Scholar, Astrologian. So all in the Crystarium. In order to obviously pick these up, you must progress to a certain point in the main scenario. So I'm guessing by the time you get to the first, you'll probably still be level 70. Just I'd imagine it's quite soon in the main scenario, and then you'll be able to pick up these quests to start the role quests. And an additional quest will be unlocked upon completing the entirety of the main scenario and all 4 role quests. So that's probably going to be something that you are wanting to do. It'll probably give some kind of cool reward, which I'm sure will come out through either data mining or when people have actually completed it. New job quests have been added, so everyone's getting a job quest at level 80. So Paladin will be in the Steps of Thal, Warrior, Eastern Lenoska, Dark Knight, Foundation, and so on and so forth. Gunbreaker is level 80, is going to be in Mordona, so we know that the Gunbreaker is eventually going to end up in Mordona. And you have to have completed the previous job quest, obviously, as well. And you have to have completed the main scenario quest, Shadowbringers, as well. So it'll be interesting to see if that is the last main scenario quest or if that is the first main scenario quest. Monk, Dragoon, Ninja, Samurai, Bard, Machinist, Dancer. Obviously, all the everything's giving you the previous job quest. However, Dancer and Gunbreaker's one is omitted. Just get through these. Crystarium deliveries have been added, so you will be able to do custom deliveries to a Crystarium. Each Disciple of the Hand or Land will be able to progress through one of 5 series of quests associated with the different facets of the crystalline mean. So completing deliveries for a facet will advance the story of that particular facet. So you've got 5 different facets of the crystalline mean, and in order to advance the full story, you've got to do all of them. So you have to have completed Inscrutable Taste before taking deliveries, because they do involve crafters and gatherers strips. And there you can see the actual UI for it. So facet of Forging is Blacksmith, Armourer and Goldsmith. You've got Esteem level and Esteem. So it'll be interesting to see how that works. It doesn't really give too much information here. So you've got Crystalline Mean, then you've got Facet of Forging, which we've just spoke about. Crafting is Carpenter, Leatherwork and Weaving. Nourishing is Alchemist and Culinarian. Gathering is Miner and Botanist. And Fishing is Fisher. And then obviously once you've completed the main scenario and all 5 Crystarium delivery quest series, you can do another one at the end. To support new and return players, additions and adjustments have been made to rewards for certain main scenario, side story, and job quests in 2.x and 4.x, so in Realm Reborn and in Stormblood. Leaves, new Lev quests have been added for Disciples of Hand and Land. Doesn't say anything about Lev quests for Disciples of War and Disciples of Magic. I'm not too sure whether or not they're going to be there. Tradecraft and Fieldcraft Lev quest rewards will be significantly reduced when using a class at level 70 or above to complete a Lev with a level requirement below 70. Yeah, just means that you're not going to be stockpiling Levs. New fates have been added. That looks cool. I'm just pretty much going to say that. Players will receive bicolored gemstones upon completing fates in 5.0 areas. This currency can be exchanged with gemstone trader NPCs for various goods. So this is a way that Square are trying to get more people to do overworld content and to do fates as well. Furthermore, as you complete fates in these new areas, traders will offer a wider selection. And as you can see, we've got a nice area, a UI here with Lakeland, Amarang, Ilmeg and Calusia. That shows you the different ranks that you are. It's also giving us an idea about kind of where the story's going. So Lakeland to Amarang to Ilmeg to Calusia to I've got the Raktika Greatwood, and then this final area here. Interesting that Amarang does pop up because you've got Ilmeg, and Ilmeg is where the 63 dungeon is. But if memory serves me right, from Stormblood, you had the locks, not the locks, the first two in pardon me about the mouse there, the first two in not Valga, in Alamigo, it's not the peaks. The peaks and somewhere else, I can't remember what the other one is. But basically, you had them two first before you even got to the Siren Song Sea. Before you got to the Siren Song Sea. So I'd imagine the first dungeon will probably be Lakeland or Amarang, and then the 63 dungeon will be Ilmeg. Treasure hunts. So Glider Skin and Zona Skin treasure maps have been added. They'll be from the actual Shadowbringers areas. Wyvern Skin and Gangler Skin treasure maps have been adjusted, so the rewards from them. Allegan Tombstones, rewarded for completion of treasure maps, have been changed from Mendacity and Genesis to Poetics. Something that everyone was expecting. Players will now be synced to level 70 when entering the Lost Canals of Uznir, the Hidden Canals of Uznir, or the Shifting Altars of Uznir. Grand and free companies, additional items will now be accepted for supply and provisioning missions. The display of submersible parameters has been adjusted. I don't really know much about submersible, so I don't want to discuss that. Blue Mage, Gunbreak and Dancer symbols being added to company chests. Furnishings from the 14 Furnishing Design Contest have been added. New furnishings have been added. New estate tags have been added as well. So Atelier, Bathhouse, Garden and Far Eastern. So you can now tag what type of house you have. Preview function has been added. It's something that has been asked for, and it's something that is really, really going to be helpful. Crafting facility furnishings can now be used by crafting classes up to level 70. Level 80 Crystarium striking dummies have been added. New orchestrion rolls, aquarium fish, new seed flower pots, lots of different housing updates. I don't really pay much attention to my house. The free company house is something that a lot of other people deal with. I've got an apartment, it's literally empty. It's there just in case I ever need it. New prizes are available for purchasing using the MGP, just want to do a gold source a bit now. New cards have been out for Triple Triad. New NPC opponents can now engage in Triple Triad matches in new areas. Basically, you can now play Triple Triad on the 1st. Changes to Dorman Mahong, you can reset your setting. Image of the character will now be displayed when playing as well. I haven't played Dorman Mahjong in 14, so I don't want to say anything about it. I'll probably be talking absolute rubbish. Rothgar and Vieira races can now be accepted, or now be made. I do like the look of Rothgar, has grown on me ever so slightly. However, it's not something I'm going to change from my little Lalafell, and I think everyone knows my feelings on Vieira. Following additions and adjustments have been made to the sightseeing log, so Shadowbringers entries have been there, and entries can now be completed regardless of class/job. So it'll be interesting to see if Disciples of the Land can complete those. Following additions and changes have been made to the challenge log. So in your Fate 1 is complete 5 fates with the highest possible rating. In your Fate 2, complete 10 fates. And then the following ones have been removed: Fated to Wonder and Embrace Your Fate. Coinciding with the increase in level cap, experience points awarded upon completing challenge log objectives have been increased. Common sense would dictate that, so you can now get the increased XP from challenge logs. It'll be increased less than level 70, and it'll be standard kind of 70 to 80. Bronze certificates of commendation have been added as rewards for completing Wondrous Trials even. Certificates can be exchanged with Chloe. Skywatcher NPCs in the first will be able to offer weather forecasts from the source up on meeting certain requirements, and vice versa. New emotes, new hairstyles, battle system changes. So, level cap for all Disciples of War and Magic has been raised to 80. Gunbreaker, no corresponding job, which we were expecting. It is a tank, obviously. Can be unlocked by completing the following quest: the makings of a Gunbreaker. So you've got a Viera, what looks to be some kind of caster there, and then a Hrothgar Gunbreaker, making sure that they're okay and protecting them. And you can pick that up at the God's Quiver Bowl in Gridania. Dancer DPS, obviously Dancer DPS is there in Limsa, so that's where you can be able to pick it up, and you've got a couple of bards there as well, playing instruments as well. So in accordance with the addition of these new jobs, gear for Gunbreaker and Dancer has been added to the rewards for certain duties and will now be sold by merchant NPCs. And additionally, Gunbreakers and Dancers will not receive the first time completion bonus from guild hests. New job actions, so they do put the job action trailer in there. We're not going to have a look at that. Substantial revisions have been made. Umbral Ice now also reduces the MP cost of ice spells. That's all the way back to 2.x as well, so into the Realm Reborn. Empty gain for certain healing actions has been reduced, so using healing actions you're not going to generate as much enmity, and that's basically because of the changes to the enmity generation through tanks. Time frame within which players must execute actions to continue or complete combos has been extended. So this one, in my opinion, is one of those that's a very subtle change, but it's just lowering that skill floor a bit more, which is never a bad thing in my opinion. Just the lower the skill floor, the more people will feel that they're able to play their jobs, and I am much happier having a lower skill floor and a higher skill ceiling in order to differentiate the level of player than having a job with a really high skill floor but a low skill ceiling. So basically, one where it's really difficult to play, and the difference between those that can play that job at its lowest, so like functionality, and the way that the higher tier players can play it is minimal. I'd much rather be a bigger spread of ability generated into the job and make it much more playable for everyone, rather than have it very difficult to play but even harder to play well. Fixer of all actions has been assigned to all jobs, so you will learn them as you go along, and you're not required to select a certain amount. So they have already released them. I believe it's 7 for the tanks, 6 for a healer, 6 for melee, 6 for ranged, and 4 for caster. One of the things that people were saying is that Lucid Dreaming was a very poor role action, so it'll be interesting to see if there have been any changes to that from the dev build that was out when the media embargo came. So it was a May build, I believe, May-April build, and it'll be interesting to see if Lucid Dreaming has made any changes from that. The rate at which the limit break gauge fills when using healing actions has been reduced. Limit break gauge will no longer fill when non-healer jobs use healing actions. So things like Red Mages of Cure, Dancers, Cure and Waltz, those types of things will not help fill the limit break gauge. And the rate at which the limit break gauge fills in new areas when taking damage for enemies under certain conditions has also been reduced. Not too sure what that means, however, it is something that you will need to take into consideration. I don't think it's going to have a massive issue on limit breaks. I think you'll still generate them plenty quick enough for use during during content. However, it just means that it's not going to be something, especially the healing bit, where you're not going to be able to magically get 1 or 2 bars quite quickly by basically taking all your gear off, going down to a minimum amount of HP, putting your gear on, and then quickly getting healed up as well. Interrupt effect has been added, so the tank roll action interject and the ranged DPS roll action head graze, they are the interrupts now. So as you can see here, the Dorm Chimera is using a skill here called the Ram's Voice, and around it is a very thin orange box. That means that it can be interrupted. If you do use interject or head graze, it will say interrupted over there, so you know it has been used. And in accordance with a change, silence has been removed as well. Charge actions have been implemented, so it does mean that you can use certain actions multiple times in one go. So the recast time for these actions determine the rate at which charges are accumulated. Maximum number of charges can be confirmed via their action help text, and restarting a duty will fill all charge actions to a maximum. So here you've got intervene. So as you can see on the icon here, it's already got 1 charge, which means that you can use it once. It's got 16 seconds of its 30-second cooldown left, or charge time in this instance, and once that happens it will charge to 2 and the recast time will stop. If you then use interject, the recast time will start again and it will stay on 1. However, it'll go down to 1 even. However, you can then use it immediately again and get a second use out of it. And there are some skills that get additional charges through the leveling process. So a Dancer's Honor Vaunt starts with 1 and it eventually gets up to 3. Ricochet and Goes Round for a Machinist starts at 2, but you do get a trait that gives it up to 3. So there are things that are going to increase it as well. Certain weapon skills and spells now have unique recast timers. So while these actions are still affected by the GCD, so you still have to be outside of the GCD to use it, they will not share a recast timer with other weapon skills. So the timer will display over the icon of the weapon skill with unique recast timers. So as you can see here, Air Anchor has a recast of 36.88 seconds, a very, very specific recast time. So you would use it on the GCD, so it's not seen to weave in between your normal weapon skills, and you'll use it, it'll tick the GCD, but it'll then take near enough 37 seconds for Air Anchor to recharge. One thing I will say as well is for those people who notice potency changes or potencies in the media build hands-on and in the media information that came out, if you go back and check Air Anchor at the time only had a potency of 400. It's got a potency of 700 based on this tooltip, so a huge increase, near enough a 100% increase on its potency, which is going to give machinists, especially if that potency increase applies to other skills. So I did read on Reddit that drill has got a potency of 700 now as well. So they're 2 skills that have got a massive increase in potency for single target. So it is going to kind of filter into that machinist being the samurai, the black mage of that physical ranged DPS class. Following adjustments have been made to pets, so all pet actions have been removed. They've all been incorporated into player actions, no longer targeted by players or enemies actions, no longer displayed in the party list, and no longer be displayed when targeted because they can't be. It does mean you've got Eggy Assault 1, Eggy Assault 2, and they're going to be kind of sort of like the skills that you use in order to get your Eggies to do specific skills. Things like Radiant Shield, Contagion, they have been removed. TP's been removed. The MP bar display when riding Goldwalkers in Alexander, the Cuff of a Father and Alexander the Cuff of a Father Savage has been replaced with an EP bar. I'm not too sure what that means. I haven't. It's been a while since I've done either of those raids. Maximum MP for all jobs has been fixed at 10,000, and the MP cost of actions has been adjusted accordingly. The effect of PT has been changed from increase in maximum MP to increase in MP regeneration rate, and it is only applicable to healer classes and jobs. Parrying is now less effective in reducing damage, and blocking is now less effective in reducing damage. I'm pretty sure that makes Paladin slightly worse, as well as Gunbreaker. Just I'm pretty sure that a couple of their skills will increase your parry chance. So if they're now less effective in reducing damage, it seems a bit strange. It kind of pointing towards Warrior and Dark Knight being a bit more important. In accordance with player changes to player attributes, the effects of certain monster and NPC actions have been increased or adjusted even. Party bonus effects have been adjusted, so you'll now receive a 1% increase to strength, vitality, dex, mind, and intelligence for each unique role in your party, up to a maximum of 5%. So, if you take a tank, melee DPS, physical range DPS, magic range DPS, and a healer, you will make sure that you get that 5% bonus. So, in a 8-man trial or in a raid, you'll always take a tank, you'll always take a healer, and you'll always take probably 2 of the types of DPS, so you'll get that 4%. I don't think it'll make too much difference. I don't think it'll start making people want to take something else to get that extra 1%. But you'd be surprised if people want to sort of like eke out that last little bit on getting those purple FF logs. The increase to XP gained by the armory bonus now applies to all jobs below 70, and from 70 onwards it's a 50% increase. So in accordance with the increase in level cap, bonuses for new roles and preferred roles are now level 69. So no more road to 60, it's now road to level 69. New dungeons have been added, so this looks like the Raktika Greatwood. This is Ilmeg, I believe, looking at it. Again, Raktika Greatwood, but so that might be Amareng, just or Calusia. It all depends. And that I think is Amareng. I think that's kind of sort of like a bastion of light next to where the flood of light ended. However, could be completely wrong with all of them. The only one I know for definite is this one, which I believe is Ilmeg, and the only reason I say that is because I'm pretty sure I've saw these in the actual dungeon walkthrough from some of the media embargo people. XP chain bonus in instant dungeons has been removed, so in accordance with this change, the amount of XP gained in dungeons has been increased. Trust system has been added, so you will be able to challenge Shadowbringers main scenario dungeons with a party of allied NPCs. You've got to only do it solo, and the party will be comprised of 1 tank, 1 healer, 2 DPS. So if you're a tank, you'll take in a healer and 2 DPS. If you're a healer, tank and 2 DPS. If you're DPS, you'll take 1 of each in. So entering dungeons for the first time. So after reaching the quest objective to clear a dungeon in the Shadowbringers main scenario, several allied NPCs will be standing near the dungeon's entrance. Speak with them and you'll have the option to add them to your party and enter the dungeon. You can also revisit dungeons as well, so you can use it to enter dungeons you've already completed, which I think is going to be a major boost for DPSs who don't want to go and sit through Heaven on High. You would select Trust under Duty in the main menu, and then you select the Dungeon you wish and the NPCs tender. So as you can see here, you've got a Dark Knight, that's what you're playing, and you're going to take Urionje as an Astrologian, Minfilia as an Oracle of Light, and Alice as a Red Mage. You've then got, over here, you've got Thancred as Gunbreaker, and you've got Alphino as a Academician, I believe is his job title. This empty one here is for Ishtola as a Witch. Item level sync has been applied to certain instance quest battles, so basically the 71 dungeon, you'll get level sync down to 72, 73 down to 74, etc, etc. In accordance with the increase in level cap, players can now gain experience from the level 70 dungeons and 4.x Alliance raids as well. New trials, so you've got Titiana there, and Innocence. Our first real good look at Innocence outside of the launch trailer. Looks really, really good in my opinion. The Echo will be applied to all 4.x trials, and the strength of the Echo granted in Omega Alphascape Savage has also been increased to 20%, and doesn't increase after each go. Changes and additions to Tomestones. So Gotia has been added, a maximum of 2,000. You can only receive them after reaching level 80 with at least 1 cap, with at least 1 class or job, No weekly limitations, and Phantasmagoria will be released alongside Eden Savage. Mendasti and Genesis are no longer available. However, you can retain all of them and then Oriana in Revenant's Toll will give you the options of changing them to Poetics. So go to Valga's Reach, spend all your Poetics on the top end 390/400 level 70 gear, then go to Revenant's Toll, exchange them with Oriana for more Poetics. And the items that can be purchased in exchange from Mendacity and Genesis can now be purchased using Elegant Tomestones or Poetics, and they will be cheaper. So instead of it being instead of the upgrade items requiring 3 coins, there'll be 100 Poetics each, instead of the micro tombstone requiring 4 crystalloids. It'll require 100 Poetics instead of the tokens in order to get it. Instead of that being 100 Genesis each, it'll be 40 Poetics. Can now use the undersized party options to participate in duties introduced after release of Stormblood. Undersized party option cannot be used to undertake the Great Hunt or the Great Hunt Extreme, however. Raid Finder now only lists trials and duties introduced with patch 5.0. However, Undead Call of Bahamut and Weapons of Refrain Ultimate will still need to be accessed via the Raid Finder. They're not changing that at all. It is still going to be level synced. You are still going to be level synced down to 345 for Bahamut and 375, I want to say, for Weapons of Refrain, in order to access them. Duty Finder has been adjusted as follows. So they have adjusted them. So level 50, 60 dungeons and Duty Roulette level 70 dungeons has been changed into the 50, 60, 70 dungeons. And also you can see they've changed the type of tomes you get. So Expert will give you 80 tomes of Gotia, 50, 60, 70, 100 Poetics, 120 Gotia, Leveling, 100 Tomestones of Gotia, Trials, 60 tomes, main scenario 300 Poetics, 100 Gotia, and etc, etc. So any times that the Gotia are mentioned, however, remember that you can only get those if you do have a job at level 80. Weekly restriction on receiving cracked clusters upon clearing the Orborn Monastery has been removed. So if you want to go and do Orborn Monastery for cracked clusters, knock yourself out. New enemies, so some enemies from each of the different areas there. That looks like a really, really fairy tale Wicker Man. And that's a giant cactuar as well. New elite marks. So we've seen this one in the Drowned City of Scarlet dungeon, which is kind of similar. That one is some creepy thing coming out of a urn by the looks of it. I really like the look of the robot frog, and he just looked creepy as hell. Like, that's just weird. I don't want to fight him. Players can now hunt regular and elite marks in the new areas. So Nuts to You is in the Crystarium. You've got to complete the quest Elite and Dangerous and have progressed to a certain point in the main scenario as well. You can also exchange sacks of nuts for items with the following NPCs. So marks defeating the new areas will yield sacks of nuts, which can be exchanged for various items. So instead of the clan marks, you're going to be getting sacks of nuts. Notification will now display when an S rank mark appears, so this was in the live letter, and B ranks are now going to kind of give you an idea about where they are. Centurio seals cap has been increased from 1,000 to 4,000. Mark bills for A Realm Reborn and Heaven's World can now be used to open maps for their respective areas. Deep Dungeons, Palace of the Dead, so the items from the trimmed sacks have been adjusted, and Gunbreak and Dancer's Arms are available, and the same with Heaven on High as well. The Lawns is the expansion of Stone, Sky and Sea for level 80, so you will get that level 80 striking dummy quests that you can try. Following adjustments have been made to Logos actions in the Forbidden Land Eureka. So Wisdom of the Duelist, so TP reduced effect has gone, and Rejuvenate as well. So the effect which restores TP has been replaced with an effect which restores HP. No other information about changes to Eureka have came out. So there's no changes to Pagos yet. There's no changes to Hydatos. I'm wondering when they're going to come in. It's got to be 5.01, 5.05. Maybe 5.1 at the very latest, but I'd be very surprised if it hasn't changed by then. I'm not going to go into PvP because I don't know PvP. I've never used it really. New items have been added, so I believe that is a lot of the AF gear. So lots of cool AF gear. However, that could also be just random dungeon gear. New recipes have been added. Certain items may now be sold, desynthesized, submitted as expert deliveries, etc. Certain items from 3.x can no longer be sold. Not too sure what they are. Fairy Voucher, Rising Token, and Pumpkin Cookies have been changed to Fairy Voucher 14, 5th Rising Token, and Ripe Pumpkin Cookie. Main attributes of accessories have been adjusted because of the rebalancing. Main attribute of the Aetheryte Earring when equipped by a tank has been changed from Vit to Strength. And the haste attribute on certain Eureka gear will now have a plus rather than a minus. New items available in exchange for achievement certificates. Gunbreak and Dancer have been added as required jobs for certain gear. And the following adjustments have been made to materia melding. So it means that you will be able to reattempt melds much more quickly, and you can no longer meld Strength, Vit, Dex, Intelligence, or Mind. After watching it for the first time, it's now possible to skip the cutscene when requesting materia transmutation from Mutamix, and the following types of materia are no longer able to be obtained, and they still can be transmuted by Mutamix, so people were wondering whether or not they could be, but it's basically all of the main stat materia is being removed. Level cap for Decent has been increased, so you can go from 380 to 450 now, and from 1160 to 1370. So basically, it means that you can have 3 jobs completely level capped for Decent. Disciples of Hand and Land has been increased to 80, which we would expect. Elemental aspects have been removed from recipes, which we were also expecting. New actions, so applicable to all crafting classes. So you've got Brand of the Elements, Name of the Elements, Preparatory Touch, Rapid Synthesis, Reuse, Delicate Synthesis, Intensive Synthesis, Trained Eye, and Trained Instinct. And Steady Hand 2 and Byrogot's Blessing is now going to be available to all crafters, so you don't have to get Culinarian to 37 and Carpenter to 50 in order to get those. Certain crafting actions have been removed, so Brand of the Wind, Byrogot's Brow, Name of the Wind, and so on and so forth. Following conditions have been added, so there are changes to a lot of the crafters. I'm not going to go into a lot of the crafting stuff because I don't use it. I'm not a crafter. I'm going to try it in this expansion, but it's not something that I do a lot. Following additions and adjustments have been made to the crafting log, so you will be able to see the maximum percentage to which initial quality can be raised by using high quality materials. So recipes for which the initial quality limit may be greater or less than 50 have been added. So you will actually be able to see the way that the progress and the quality increases. So there are different things on there. Following additions have been made to a synthesis window, so you can see here the collectability, the quality, and so on. So it is just much more clean and much more easy to understand. I, for one, like this change, and it's part of the reason I want to go and do some more crafting as well. Calculations for increase to progress and quality, assuming the base 100% efficiency, have been increased, or have been adjusted even. Difficulty of master recipes 5 and 6 have been reduced. New actions and traits have been added for Disciples of the Land, so Stickler, Given Land, Pick Clean, and Mind of the Mountaineer. And then exactly the same for Botanist, but with Mind of the Pioneer, as well as some Fisher monsters there. As well, new traits, Enhanced Stealth, 3 lots of that, and Enhanced GP regeneration. New points have been added, fishing been changed. Tomes of Regional Folklore have been added. New items that can be found using Ethereal Reduction have been added. The amount of items received from Ethereal Reduction has been adjusted. Freshwater boilies and saltwater boilies, bait affected on a wide range of fish in 2.0 have been added, just to cut down on how much bait you actually need. Changes to Gavin Log. Entries relating to regional folklore are now categorized by region, much easier. Regions for which you have not read the folklore will appear in the category list but contain no entries. Gathering location and time will now be there, so much easier, not having to go all the time and check additional apps and things like that. And you can actually set timers on there as well. Players above level 70 will now receive a maximum of 10,000 XP when trading collectibles of level 70 star or lower. So no using really high XP to try and boost you there. The amount of XP received from delivering collectibles as a level 60 to 70 has been increased, and the following additions and adjustments have been made to crafters and gatherers strips. So if you're level 80, you will be able to get white crafting and gathering strips, or scripts even. Players can begin exchanging their collectible items for these scripts at Splendor's Exchange starting at level 80 and can have a maximum of 2,000. Red crafting and gathering scripts are no longer available. Yellow ones are available, but you will be able to exchange them for... also, the red ones will be able to be exchanged for yellow ones. The amount of crafters and gatherers scripts received from delivering collectibles has been adjusted. Level 70 arms, gears and accessories have been added to the inventory of vendors in Kagane. New items added to the Calamity Salvagers. New mounts. I really like that Triceratops. I think it looks really cool. I really want to get one. I don't know where you'll get it from, but I really want one. And then this little fella as well looks really cute for a Lalafell. Don't know where you'll get them from. I don't know if these are the Titania mount and the Innocence mount. We'll have to wait and see, but it's normally kind of like the same type of thing. But like I say, wait and see. All mounts can now fly. Just no. Just no. And that one as well. They just don't look right. New Chocobo Barding. So Dancer and Gunbreaker Barding is what it is. New minions. Evil Crow. I quite actually like that one. He just looks really angry and really miserable. System updates. Market boards been added to the Crystarium. Retainers can now be registered to the Crystarium market, and it goes all the way through the information about all the retainers. Not something I really use much. The retainer interface has been updated though, so it is a little bit cleaner. New achievements and titles. You can now adjust the achievements. You can now filter. You can now sort them. So basically, everyone's going to sort them and filter them into what type of reward can you get. I can get an item. Hunt marks are now displayed in recommendations. Sightseeing clues are now displayed in recommendations as well. Hunt log entries for both class and Grand Company do appear, and the window can be locked. Following additions and adjustments made to Party Finder, so you can actually send a link to the chat log, so you can display it as a message in terms of getting people to come into the party, and then if you go and highlight that, it'll then be able to quickly send you to it. Crossworld party invitations to players on other worlds can now be issued via the chat log, which is really good. As you can see here, the party list now indicates HP increases granted by barriers, and you've got a little down icon to show when maximum HP has been reduced. Battle animations for allied NPCs and quest battles will now always appear. These effects cannot be disabled via character settings, so I've got it where you don't see the battle animations from allied PCs, because sometimes it gets a little bit intense, but allied NPCs you will always going to be able to see them. This adjustment will be considered in future patches for all existing quest battles prior to patch 5.0 as well. The amount of glamour items have been increased from 2 to 400 in the glamour dressing, and the amount of glamour plates from 10 to 15. Changes have been made to group pose, not really something I use as well, but trust system NPCs will now be included in group pose at the time of duty completion. Recallable duties have been changed, so the 2 Shadowbringer trials are available. Display targets of remaining HP can be now shown in increments of 0.% each when it comes to the last 1%. That is something that you will need to go into character configuration for. Also in the system configuration, you can change it from light to dark. The light one, in my opinion, just looks much nicer. And some changes to the new adventurer, changes to the mentor. It's basically just upping the level cap on all of them. But it is something that if you've obtained certification prior to the release of 5.0 but don't meet the new requirements, you will retain the current status for patch 5.0. However, as of 5.1, to ensure that all mentors are held to the same standard, changes will be implemented to encourage mentors who qualified under the own system to obtain recertification. Mentors who do not do this during 5.1 will lose their certification of 5.2. Crossworld link shells going from 1 to 8. The DualShock 4 and other gamepads with a vibrate function will now vibrate when duty finder matching has been completed. Adjustments and additions will make cutscenes, so text relating to the formation or disband of a party will no longer appear if a cutscene's in progress, and the way that you select the options have been changed as well. So no more text box right in the middle. It's now down here away from where some of the facial expressions might be. Little simple things like moving the A to before the enemy name here on the focus target. Nice little quality of life improvement here. So the quest icon will now have an up or down arrow to indicate elevation, so that you know whether or not it's above or below you, or if you're on the right level. Job gauge details have been revised. Order in which character names are displayed has been adjusted in accordance with changes made to pets. Other tabs as well, so lots of different simple quality of life adjustments. Not going to go too much into this information, just it's not really something that I go into a lot because I play on PlayStation, so I don't really do keybinds, the same that I don't really use for like keyboard shortcuts either. Auto translation's been increased. PS4's autocomplete dictionary has been changed as well. New music has been added in order to reduce server congestion. So one of the big things about 5.0's release and 4.0's release back in the day was the amount of people that were logging in, because it's a new expansion, people are coming back. So they've changed a couple of things. So if you're inactive for 30 minutes, you'll be logged out automatically. New areas will be split into multiple instances, and you will be able to select which instance you want to go into. In terms of it, they will remove these features when server congestion is deemed to be no longer an issue. One of the things I will say is one of the things that people do sometimes do in order to get around the logged out automatically is to be in a cutscene or to put their control pad down and just get their character running around in a circle. You're not inactive. However, there will be times, I'm pretty sure, when Square Enix will just turn the servers off, turn them back on, just to kick anyone who is trying to do something like that out of the game to let more people in. In terms of the multiple instances as well, if you are teleporting from instance to instance with a group, all members of that group will be put into the same instance. Some changes to character creation, not really something that I'm going to go into. Characters on accounts with active subscriptions will be prioritized in login queues. So basically, if you are a trial player, you will take a backseat to active subscribers during Shadowbringers launch. The support for Mac 32-bits ended, Mac 64-bits begun. Square Enix account passwords can now be saved on the PS4 launcher. Title screen, logo, and opening movie has been changed for those of Shadowbringers, and Gunbreak and Dance have been added to the solo rankings for Palace of the Dead and Heaven on High. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the end of the Shadowbringers patch preliminary notes. It's a lot of information to go for. I hope you've managed to stay with me for the majority of it. I'm not going to do one on the final notes because I don't think they're going to change in any great detail. I'm going to be doing a day zero video for Shadowbringers tomorrow night, just to say what I'm going to do getting ready and what the plan is going forward. And every day you also can get a video from me each morning, just saying what my thoughts and feelings have been from the day before of the launch. I'm going to be doing those for about a week, depending on like timescales, because I'm at work on Friday, unfortunately, so I'll not be getting on until Friday evening in the UK, but I'll be getting lots of playtime throughout the rest of the weekend, as well as next week and the following weekend as well. So lots of content's going to be coming. Mr. Murphy's going to be doing some other bits and pieces as well. We are also going to be streaming, so I'll be putting all of that detail in the Day Zero video. But until then, thank you for watching my Patch 5.0 notes video. And until next time, goodbye.